in the FA Cup semi-final. Looks glorious too, doesn't it, that pitch? The odds on the first to score: 5-1 Spencer of Chelsea, 6-1 Peacock, 7-1 Oakes of Luton, 8-1 Dixon of Luton, 9-1 Cascarino of Chelsea. Match odds: Chelsea are evens, 11-4 Luton. After 90 minutes, the draw is 15-8. Of course, there's extra time today in the event of a draw. Replay at Villa Park this Wednesday if it finishes a draw after 120 minutes. The cup odds: United odds on, Chelsea 3-1, Luton 13-2, 10-1 Oldham Athletic. And the Premiership results, scores in many cases, results in some. All results now, all confirmed. Coventry 1, Tottenham 0. Peter Undlove with a penalty. Julian Dix settled the game at Anfield with a penalty. Manchester City 2, Newcastle 1. Walsh and David Brightwell for City. Norwich City 4, Southampton 5. A rare and priceless goal from Ken Moncau in injury time, settling it. Also 3 in that one from Matt Le Tissier. Sheffield Wednesday 3, Queen's Park Rangers 1, and a single goal for Tony Cottee at Upton Park. West Ham 0, Everton 1. Big win for Everton. There's a wonderful atmosphere about the place. The debate is over as to whether the semi-finals should be at Wembley. That's where we are on a glorious afternoon. Chelsea go head-to-head with Luton Town, the last survivors from outside the Premiership. Let's get a word with our match commentators today, Andy Gray and Martin Tyler.
Hello, Richard. Hello again, everyone. Andy and I have been here since about midday. David Pleat was here at 10 o'clock this morning. No stone to be left unturned for the Luton camp. He was checking with the groundsman the dimension of the playing surface here at Wembley, wondering whether his players might come out and look at it and be frightened by the size of it. In fact, it's 3 yards longer than the average league pitch, not that much wider, so that's another piece of information that the Luton players have had to digest. But that's typical David Pleat, Andy.
It is. Funny enough, man, I had him on the book room on Thursday, and one question he wanted answering was, can anyone here tell me how big Wembley is pitch size? There was no one in the stats department there at that time of night. We couldn't help David, so I'm not surprised to hear he was here early in the morning, probably pacing it out himself.
Yes, I'm sure he was. But Glenn Hoddle played under David Pleat, and we all know about the 1987 FA Cup final. That was Glenn's last game for Tottenham, incidentally. Do you think that will have a bearing that in reading each other's minds and the different approaches?
No, I don't think so, Martin. I think both teams, as we'll see when we go into them, are going to attempt to play different ways. And I think whichever team dominates the game, whichever team starts the better, could have a huge bearing on the outcome of this game. And I don't think the fact that Glenn played for, I think it was just 1 year under David at Spurs, will have any bearing on the outcome of the game today.
Well, the privilege of playing at Wembley might soothe a little of the pain for the losers today, but coming second in an FA Cup semi-final remains a pretty sorrowful experience. Beaten semi-finalists are soon forgotten. Walking around the ground, you have to say Chelsea have the edge when it comes to the number of supporters here. They had the bigger allocation. 32,000 tickets went to Stamford Bridge, 25,000 to Kenilworth Road. But the word out on the streets is that a good number of frustrated Chelsea fans, having found the doors locked and the tickets all sold down in southwest London, made their way up the M1 and found some still available.
That's certainly the impression you get, Martin, with the noise being generated by the Chelsea supporters.
So Chelsea show first in the tunnel. Dennis the Menace, the artful dodger, at the head of the line. A player who 6 years ago this very day scored the winner in an FA Cup semi-final against Luton for Wimbledon. Fitness scares about Wise and his illness earlier this week, but he did train yesterday. Chelsea worked out in secret at Stamford Bridge and then went away to what they regard as their lucky hotel in Beaconsfield. Trevor Peake leads out Luton. No great formalities here to make sure that there are some trappings left for the big day in May. Will it be Chelsea coming back here next month, or will it be Luton Town from the Ensley Insurance League Division 1? Two clubs in the lower half of their respective leagues have really found their feet in the FA Cup. This, the semi-final with the southern slant to it. Two teams who've shown a swagger in their success so far in this competition. And a cerebral contest between the two managers. Both real footballing philosophers. And that's a terrific sight. But as you can see, Glenn is wearing a tracksuit, but he's not involved today on the playing side. His troublesome Achilles tendon has ruled him out of the 14 that he's named for this FA Cup semi-final. You have to say the attendance here and the atmosphere supporting the choice of venue, much criticised, of course, by traditionalists. Well, Chelsea have had the majority of the pre-semi-final casualties. Mark Steen was never going to make it, and as I say, reluctantly, Glenn Hoddle has had to manage without himself. But Craig Burley has been given the thumbs up after hamstring problems, and Dennis Wise is in much better health. He's had a chest infection. In Steen's absence, the vacant striker's berth passes to Tony Cascarino. Only his second start since December for a club which has given him a free transfer at the end of the season.
And with Steen's absence, Martin, it's a different front two. I would expect them to be looking to hit Tony Cascarino, and instead of two mobile front men, look for Spencer running all round Cascarino, forward, going deep, doing everything like that. In midfield, that's the key for me. Who will win that battle in midfield? Look for Eddie Newton to look for Scott Oakes. Look for both fullbacks to push forward onto the wide men to try and make up the numbers in the midfield area. That, for me, is where the battle may be won and lost today.
David Pleat, as in the quarter-final replay against West Ham, is able to put out his strongest side. Alan Harper was one injury worry with a calf strain, and yesterday Scott Oakes took a heavy fall in training, while Kerry Dixon needed emergency chiropody on a poisoned toe. That was last night. Dixon is able to face Chelsea for the first time since he left Stamford Bridge. The cup run has thrust into the limelight Luton's young lions like Des Linton, Paul Telfer, Kerry Hughes, and particularly Oakes. How they cope with the stress of a semi-final will be one significant factor.
Well, the four you mentioned, Martin, vital. Linton, Telfer, Hughes and Oakes. The one thing I can't tell you about coming to Wembley for the first time, you just don't know how you're going to react, how your legs are going to feel, how you're going to perform. For David Pleat's side to win today, those four players have to form well, and particularly Scott Oakes. Alan Harper, we know, will drop in front of the two centre-backs, probably to get himself around Peacock, make sure nothing happens there. Priest, the playmaker, they will try and get him on the ball whenever possible and get him to play. For me, whoever wins it in midfield, Martin, could well win the match.
Kerry Dixon plays for the club and the manager that rejected him as a teenager against the club where he made such a considerable name. And Tony Cascarino was actually bought by Chelsea to replace Dixon at Stamford Bridge, but now he's playing for a future, presumably elsewhere. It is a cosmopolitan occasion for goalkeepers. The Russian Dmitry Karin for Chelsea. The American Jürgen Sommer is Luton Town's goalkeeper. The referee is Roger Dilks from the Greater Manchester area. First down the M6, with plenty coming behind him for tomorrow's semi-final here. Well, this is a semi-final which symbolises a splendid season in this captivating competition. Luton Town have been leading the way for the lower division clubs who caused so many upsets. Chelsea, famously unpredictable themselves, and finding themselves at this stage for the first time since 1970. Sinclair lining up as we expected at left-back. There's been talk, and indeed David Peat, I think, himself suspected that Sinclair might be given a marking job on the dangerous Scott Oakes. First challenge for Dixon, but Erland Johnsen, an old friend, has been speaking warmly about Dixon and the way he helped the Norwegians settle into English football. But old friendships are forgotten for the next couple of hours or so. Telfer. Johnsen on the stretch.
That's an amazing area, Martin. The two centre-backs and goalkeeper. We're talking football about communication being important. We've got a Dane, a Norwegian and a Russian in three very important areas. But 6 clean sheets in the last 8 games show that whatever they're doing, the communication's good.
Well, both the Scandinavians speak very good English. You can't say the same yet about Dmitry Karin. But he's no stranger to big matches, the Russian goalkeeper. He's won an Olympic gold medal, for example. That was in Seoul. Telfer with a throw. As Dixon will glance it on awkwardly, first of all, awkwardly for Chelsea. Oakes over the top looking for the Welshman Kevin Hughes, but the ball running behind for a goal kick. I must say the pitch has taken all the rain in the London area absolutely splendidly. No complaints from the players at all. In fact, there was a match an hour or so ago between the youth teams of the two respective clubs. I don't know whether it's an omen, but Luton Town won it 2-0.
It is in very, very good condition, Mark. It really is.
Priest. He's played it straight to another of the several small players on the pitch, Dennis Wise. On the gallop from left-back is Sinclair. Chelsea have indeed won 7 of their last 10 games. And really, as Curry makes a mistake here, not in keeping with their recent good form. Eddie Newton is a very responsible player in front of the back four, the holding midfield man, tidying up.
Well, he has to be. I mean, Karin's, he's looking around, see what was wrong with that pass. He struck it beautifully across the surface. And he did, with a little bit too much pace on it.
Far more of the Chelsea players have Wembley experience, not always in senior games. Peacock was a schoolboy international for England, played here. Craig Burley represented Scotland on this very pitch at under 15 level. Sinclair, pressed by Telfer, who gets the tackle in, defending from the front for Luton Town.
That's what they're going to do, Martin. It's Eddie Sinclair's not naturally left-footed. You could see there he wanted to get it onto his right foot. He's wanted to do that every time the ball's arrived there. I think what David Peat is going to do is send him in there. They're going to send him infield on his right foot into what he hopes will be packs of white shirts.
Nicely down off the chest of Peacock. Here's Wise. Such a superb supplier of chances for others. It's awkward for Dreyer for a moment. Wise. Newton. Sinclair. That's typical Alan Harper covering anticipating the direction of the pass. Sorry,
that's it, Martin. But he's been told that Alan Harper that they've worked on this in training, Luton. I talked to David Pleat on Thursday, and I was saying, are you going to send them down on his weak left side? And he said, no, we're going to turn them infield and round about the halfway line or just in our own half, and hopefully get Harper along in the line of the pass.
Well, it's interesting philosophy, because Chelsea, with this diamond formation, not too much natural width, might just like to be forced infield.
Which was my argument with him on Thursday. We shall see. That's what I mean. I think that's what's fascinating today about the midfield battles. Both get in with different formations.
That's forward by Harper. Dixon! Karen had to be quick. There were others for Chelsea not quite so alert there, and they should be. They know about Dixon. This is hurt.
This is just fed into an area, Martin, and it's such a difficult area to defend. If you're alive as a striker, which Kerry Dixon undoubtedly was there, then that ball is a real dangerous one. Just as well for Chelsea that the goalkeeper was alive to the situation.
And a smack in the face for his pains. Bob Ward wants a goalkeeper himself. Checking out the damage. Luton waiting for the corner. Scott Oakes has the ball. The FA Cup run has really elevated him to star status. He's scored 5 goals in the competition. Mixing with a hat-trick against West Ham. The corner rehearsed, back for Harper. Chelsea trying to hold the line, but dragged in a bit deep, letting Luton get in there. And it's another corner.
Well, that one's right off the training ground. He'll have a lot of work to do, Scott Oakes, today, if they get a few corners from either side.
Of course, Luton lost the goal in the quarter-final replay from one of their corners. West Ham swept upfield to score. Oakes puts that one straight at the goalkeeper.
Well, it won't go on them much longer if that's the quality he delivers.
Both clubs very confident about the outcome today. Cascarino's header, the referee getting in the way from Chelsea's point of view. Cascarino working back. Newton forward from Burley. Cleared quickly by Summer. Headed by James, the left back for Luton Town. Clark hoisting it. Not the biggest side up front, unless they find Cascarino, and that fell into John Spencer's territory. Dixon got a terrific reception when he came out to warm up from both sets of fans. It was a very touching moment. Hughes pressing Johnson, the ball staying in play. And Luton winners on all counts there. The ball and then the free kick.
He'll be a handful, Kerry Hughes, for Steve Clarke if they get him the ball. He's got good confidence, Hughes, he's got good trickery, and he's got good pace. And that'll give Steve Clarke a problem if they can get him enough of the ball.
Well, David Pleat does believe that there's been a bit too much concentration on the likes of Dixon and Oakes, and the surprise packages today could be his wider players. This fella, Kerry Hughes, already a full international for Wales, and Paul Telfer.
He speaks very highly of Telfer, David Pleat, he really does.
Telfer, who's already played for Scotland at B level. Here's Telfer helping it on. Des Linton going in with the goalkeeper who fists it away. And leaving it for Telfer's long throw. Newton got to it. Helped forward by Wise, but Spencer was running away from him. Hughes. Newton. Neatly done. Spencer. Burley to the right. from Cascarino's header here. Peacock takes it on. And Tony Cascarino is offside.
That was a great example for me anyway, where lack of width on this left side just might be their downfall at times. They had acres to play with outside of Gavin Peacock there, but no one naturally was willing to go wide of him.
Linton to take the throw, coming up to 10 minutes gone, and no real signs of nerves from Luton, the underdogs. They press on again with Telfer. Oakes goes outside him. Telfer gets the cross in. Back comes Cascarino, and that's a Luton throw.
They've had the better start, Luton Town.
And they wait again for John Dreyer, who always hovers in the goal area itself. There's Dixon to aim for as well. Doesn't reach either of them. Wise can't work it away. Been a real outlet for Chelsea so far. Now they have a goal kick. Well, it's a venue that tests the stamina, and Dennis Wise has had a couple of days in bed this week. But Glenn Hoddle able to name his captain from the start, but the player manager is not able to participate.
Wise and Newton are having a right ding-dong. Dennis Wise wants him to pull a bit further towards him here for the kick-out. Newton's having none of it.
Sinclair. I was talking to Eddie Newton in the week, and he would like to play as a more box-to-box midfield player, but the system demands a bit of sacrifice for personal glory in that respect. He's not got too far forward at all. He's picked off one or two dangerous areas in front of the back line for Chelsea. But Luton really have settled quickly, and most of the activity has been in the Chelsea half so far. Linton. Spencer. Now Wise. Telfer was a bit late with the challenge there, and Roger Dilks was aware of that and has pulled the play back for a Chelsea free kick, and he's going to have a word with Telfer as well.
Was late, Martin, but even with this pass, Dennis Wise was looking to spread the play, and he's spreading into an area where there is absolutely no chance of a blue jersey being in.
And over by the far touchline, one or two messages coming from the bench via Steve Clark. Peter Shreves passing on Glenn Hoddle's thoughts. And Steve Clark now asking, I think, if we can read the gestures, just getting a bit more width involved.
That wouldn't surprise me.
Cascarino. Oh, it comes for Peacock. Chelsea are in front. Their first real attack. A goal after 13 minutes.
Well, it is the first attack. The long free kick and the threat of Cascarino. He wins the header. There's a little touch on there, and who do you expect to be in there? Gavin Peacock. This is his trademark, running from deep, getting himself in the box. It's a great flick on from Cascarino. Spencer gets the second touch, and when you're looking for a midfield runner to get in there, Gavin Peacock's that man, right against the run of play.
Well, Peacock has picked the big occasion for his goals this season a number of times. Just ask Manchester United about that. Twice he scored goals to beat them. Is it going to be a Peacock goal here to set up a third meeting, possibly? Well, Luton have got to show that they can withstand a really heavy blow. It's only the second time in their cup run that they've been behind. It happened against West Ham in the quarter-final replay. Gavin Peacock didn't play at his old club Newcastle on Monday because of a calf strain. They kept him in cotton wool, really, with this semi-final in mind. And you can see why.
He has that wonderful habit for a midfield player of arriving at the right time in the penalty area. Two important headers, one from Cascarino, the other from his strike partner Spencer. Dropped into a lovely inviting area. Peacock gave it the appropriate finish.
Wise, it's a bit square, and Telfer got to it, but no harm done for Chelsea. Peacock. Wise. Telfer comes back. Peacock trying to give Wise an angle down the touchline. A little bit of interplay with Sinclair. Over Cascarino. Burley. Spencer goes down. But Tony Cascarino giving Chelsea this aerial option. And at the moment, although Luton haven't seen it coming very often in the opening 15 minutes, when the ball has been in the air around the Luton penalty area, Cascarino is certainly playing to his strengths.
Well, that cross, all that Cascarino did was made himself a threat, and Drea was all over the place, watching the man instead of the ball, and he completely missed it.
Spencer held it up well. Cascarino once more gets to it. There's offside here. Summer keeps it out from Peacock.
That would be a worry at the moment, because I tell you, the Luton back four are not small. They're all about 6 foot plus, the lads. But up till now, Cascarino's been the dominant one. And it's no surprise that they're looked for him early on. You've got a big centre forward and you're getting some joy, even though you love to play your football. And hey, let's get the ball to him, get runners off him, certainly early in a semi-final.
There was a good flick by his opposite number in style, Kerry Dixon, and it's led to a Luton free kick in a position here that might cause Chelsea a bit of heart fluttering. David Priest. Mini is his nickname. He's a horse racing man, but he didn't back Mini Homer for the national, and he's kicking himself before the game. He watched the race in the referee's room, wondering whether it might not be his day. But he's got a chance here as he plays the ball deep, looking for Julian James round the back.
Well, James was free. Again, I think they've worked this. They've sucked most of the Chelsea players in, and James, you see him peeling round the back. I think it's Craig Burley, no it's Kjellberg who goes to sleep actually. And he's fortunate, it was just about a yard too much pace in that ball.
David Priest, who came here with Luton in the League Cup. There was a spell just over a year when Luton came here on 4 separate occasions in various competitions. So their supporters, no strangers to this famous setting, but at the moment it's the Chelsea fans in great voice and great heart. Blue so far is the colour. Chelsea lead 1-0. But just to go back to Tony Cascarino, it's an amazing situation. A player who is going to be discarded by the club unless, of course, I suppose they have second thoughts. He hasn't really played enough games over just over 2 years. It's been the problem. This is his 41st major game for the club. And he joined in February '92, played a few games alongside Kerry Dixon at the back end of that season. And it's been another typically injury-strewn season for the Republic of Ireland international, who's certainly got the World Cup finals to look forward to. Is it going to be the FA Cup final as well? It's all a bit tight for Chelsea on the edge of their own penalty area. Linton. Harper. Telfer. Flies away off Frank Sinclair. Well, Scott Oakes has lost the corner-taking job early in the piece to David Priest.
Well, he's a goal threat. What's he doing taking corners in the first place? He can score you goals.
Trying to flick it on was Telfer. Back to Priest again. Deeper this time. James. Kerry Hughes on the turn. Deflected behind the Luton corner on the left this time.
Good header at one end from Tony Cascarino, and a very important block here from the centre forward. Showing here that if you're back defending, you've got to act like a defender. And that's a really good block from Cascarino.
Chelsea delaying the taking of the corner because they have a player injured. I think it's Eddie Newton.
You know, you've had 20 minutes, Mark, and if you were a Luton supporter and you'd nip down for
Frank Sinclair, by the way.
you'd nip down for a pie for a minute and miss the goal, you come back up and you think, hey, this is a great start for our lads. We're playing really well.
So a corner. Just over 20 minutes gone. Kielberg amongst the crop of defenders by the near post. Dixon waiting by the near post. Hughes has made a run across. And concentrating on the ball was Craig Burley. Harper gets it back for Luton. And just knocked away by the fingertips of Karin. Priest can't turn. Peacock trying to crowd him out. Telfer is there. Oh, and it's a mishit by Hughes. Nicely dealt with by Linton. Well, this is James, the left back. Right-footed though he is, he couldn't get the ball back across the face of the goal. Harper. Priest. Foul by Newton. Well, Dreyer loves to drive balls like that from left to right towards Telfer, and so far so good for Luton. Harper. Here's Hughes. Priest. Oakes is holding on the left. James is there as well. And the two of them combine. Steve Clarke, who's many Chelsea fans' choice as a potential player of this season, turned quickly and kept Oakes from cutting in behind him. Hughes. David Pleat wondering about his side's resilience here. He prepared them with a speech about the strengths in the sides and quotations from Robert Browning, the poet, and from Winston Churchill as well. But he wants a more elevated view of the shape of the game. Territorially, Luton have served him well so far, but they've conceded the opening goal of the first of the 1994 FA Cup semi-finals. Just a moment's hesitation by Johnson. James. Hughes. Telfer. But trapped by Sinclair. Maybe that's one reason why Frank Sinclair wasn't moved to follow Scott Oakes. He's got a real challenge in dealing with Paul Telfer at left back.
He has, and the one thing Telfer will know is that he's going to have his work cut out if he wants to outrun Sinclair.
Kjellberg, the Dane, who played here against England last month. Clark's only Wembley appearance was 20 minutes for a Football League representative 11 against the rest of the world, and Diego Maradona back in 1987, part of the league's centenary celebrations. Kjellberg cuts it out. Burley, Cascarino, Spencer's offside. Luton had stepped up. It's not really explosive pace up front for Chelsea, for Peake and Dreyer to be concerned about. But when the ball's been crossed from wide positions, Tony Cascarino has already made his mark. A very important header, supported by another flick from Spencer, setting a way for Peacock to open the scoring here. Dixon couldn't quite find Oakes in the right stride, but with the impressive size of the crowd, the sunshine, just occasionally it crosses your mind that this could be an FA Cup final on a balmy May afternoon. Linton. Much has been made of the fact that Chelsea have twice beaten Manchester United this season. We should point out that they've also twice lost to Oldham Athletic. Peake going in, the old campaigner from Coventry, 37 years old now. Chelsea's throw.
You can't see, though, Mark, how they've made life difficult for teams to break them down in recent weeks. They do defend with a lot of men behind the ball as soon as they lose it, and make it difficult, certainly down the centre of the field, for any team to make any headway against them.
You're talking about Chelsea?
Yes, I am.
Yeah. Well, it's been a strange season for Glenn Hoddle. His first, of course, in charge at the club. A reasonable start, some big wins against Manchester United and Liverpool early on, then a really terrible run that had them tumbling down the table. Rock bottom, really, just after Christmas at Southampton, and they were beaten there. But really, their response has been absolutely terrific. Only away from relegation danger, and moving onwards and upwards in the FA Cup. Johnson. Peake. Now Wise, famously a winner here with Wimbledon, of course, in '88, in the final. Hughes. Well, that's where I was a bit lucky.
That's what they mustn't do, though, Martin, is give the ball away cheaply like that. I do feel the way Chelsea are set up, with that narrow midfield, as we've spoken about, that the best ploy for Luton is change of play. If they've got it on the right, they're looking left for James. If they've got it on the left, they're looking right for Linton. And those two players, I feel, can get themselves some space. And that may be something that David Pleat can spot from his elevated position as well.
Oh, it's a late tackle by Dreyer. further back. Roger Dilks, I think, is going to produce a yellow card. John Spencer was clipped from behind. First yellow card of this semi-final. Sinclair. Newton. Here's Clark. Peacock. Back for Clark again. Still Clark. And it's a corner. And John Dreyer in the end just did enough. But Steve Clark with a superb run. Help from Peacock. And Luton was training to stop him going all the way.
I don't think he ever had it that much under control when he could just pull the trigger and get a shot in. It was a wonderful run, but if we watch it closely, it didn't just sit for him. It runs away from him there, he can't get a shot, he has to go again. He's never really in control of it, and that's what gave John Dreyer the opportunity to get his body in the way.
There was a cavalier charge by Clark earlier in the competition that set up a goal for Gavin Peacock against the Sheffield Wednesday. Looking into the sun doesn't make it too easy for those on the bench to see quite what's going on. Here's Clark, strong Scottish influence to this Chelsea side. Kjellberg deliberately letting it run. Newton. Clark again. Well, Spencer had to skip out of danger then, but with this low centre of gravity, he's very mobile, but he really does his work in the opposition's penalty area, a natural goal-getter. He's had to work hard to win over Glenn Hoddle, only back in the side since the turn of the year. Cascarino. Spencer. Frank Sinclair had to take it straight away.
Again, it's aerially they've got problems. Cascarino, Spencer again getting a header in there. When David Pleat will probably feel he shouldn't be doing that. It's two important headers that young John Spencer's won off Tony Cascarino's flicks. He'll accept that Cascarino will win a few, David Pleat, but I'm not so sure he'll be pleased about Spencer winning his share.
Oates to Priest. Kjellberg took the sting out of the shot. Peak with the header down. Wise. Luton, having won it so well, took too long in deciding what to do with the ball. The flag goes up against John Spencer.
It's a good ball. You know what he's trying to do. Perhaps looking along the line, John Spencer will feel he shouldn't have got himself offside.
Sinclair's header and Peacock. Also Spencer. Linton. Dixon making up the ground on Erling Johnson, who didn't want to take any risks with the goalkeeper at that particular angle. Luton have a throw. And Telfer trying to get full purchase here. Who play the percentages once more. Ball comes for a short one and then trying to steer it back to Telford across. Under hit his pass.
Well, he's not really got a long throw, Telford, has he? He doesn't get it quite as far as they want.
Dixon going for it and missing. It's a strange one from Wise. Burley defended well. Peacock. Oh, presented back to him by Oates. Burley takes it on, a good turn in a congested area. But Alan Harper had fitted in to the back line responsibly. Dreyer. Now Wise, Spencer setting off. Waiting for some support, gets it infield from Peacock. Wise joining Cascarino in the centre. Cascarino is there again. It's such a profitable route for Chelsea. They can't stop the crosses, Luton, and they can't win the headers.
Well, you've got to do one or the other. If you can't stop Cascarino, then the supply is the next thing you aim for. And they're a bit unlucky that didn't drop the other side of Dennis Wise. They've done that better, even though they haven't. They've been second as a territorially. They've had players who have cut the game up better from midfield, Chelsea. And look,
Wise looking to the right-hand side where Peacock had taken up a position but had been spotted by Hughes. Well, Dennis Wise and Tony Cascarino are great pals off the pitch. It's something of a love-hate relationship. They're always trying to get one up on each other. Julian James needing some attention from Andy McDade. Mitchell Thomas wondering whether he might be required on his return to Luton. Our Monday night football, let me remind you, comes from Ewood Park, back in the FA Carling Premiership, and a very big night for Blackburn. Well, David Pleat is a man who's been through the mill and conquered some personal anguish to rebuild his career. Never lost the respect of those within football. But the anguish he's feeling at the moment is just whether his team are going to be able to give Chelsea greater problems. They had a good share of the ball. They were controlling the shape of the match when Chelsea took the lead.
but apart from that, Kerry Dixon, half chance mark, haven't really created anything, and I feel that has been the major difference.
But here's Oakes setting off. Characteristic style. Telfer's gone into his space, really. And didn't give him an option for a pass. I'm not sure that Oakes, the way he plays, would have passed the ball in any case.
I don't think the thought entered Scott Oakes' mind here. Pass was the last thing. He was looking for a shot on target, and you can see there his eyes never off the ball. He'd made his mind up he was going to do that. But that's what he hasn't done enough for me. He hasn't got up in contact with Kerry Dixon enough. And neither have Telfer and Kerry Hughes for me. The three of the players you mentioned who are making their Wembley baptism today. And I think all three of those have to play better.
Clark with a throw. Newton. Swept forward by Dreyer. Erland Johnson playing Dixon onside. Harper having to work hard facing his own goal. Flicked on by Telfer. Dixon. Well, Oakes and Hughes were making their way into the penalty area, but not with any great conviction. Now, Craig Burley, is that the injury that he's been battling all week? It looks as though the muscle has gone. And he had to put the brakes on. Well, the cycling shorts obviously a protection to keep the muscles warm and hopefully strong, but they may not have done enough for Craig Burley. 6 minutes to go to half-time, and Glenn Hoddle and Peter Shreeves ponder a change. Darren Barnard and Mal Donaghy are the two options.
Well, you can see what they're treating the hamstring area. And he's running quite comfortably there, and suddenly he pulls up. And if it is a hamstring problem he's had, there's certainly nothing in keeping him on. They won't earn anything. They might make a quick decision. I mean, they'd obviously, I think, like to get through to half-time before making a change, but with 6 minutes to go, that might be dangerous carrying a player.
Well, Burley stays on. Peacock able to win it back for Luton. Gilberg rather wrestling Oakes. That's got to be a free kick against the Dane. Still plenty of activity on the Chelsea bench. Free kick to Luton. Oakes. There's part of a trio there trying to trick Chelsea. There's Oakes again. A good jump by Kilberg against Dixon. Clark. James with another chance. Kilberg. Throw for Luton.
Plenty of pressure again, Mark, without any real penetration. I think that's been the story of the half so far.
There's Clark. Telfer trying to take it on. Harper. Johnson trying to lead the line out defensively for Chelsea. Nice header down by Linton for Oakes. Schreier makes the first run, and the ball put really into the goalkeeper's territory. So Darren Barnard is called on for Craig Burley, the nephew of George Burley, who played for Ipswich here and won an FA Cup winners' medal back in 1978. Barnard is a left-sided player.
It looks like they've switched Dennis Wise, Martin. Dennis has gone over to the right side, and that's pretty straightforward. Shouldn't upset them at all.
One thing Glenn Hoddle has discovered, it's not always been an advantage, but perhaps it is at the moment, that he's inherited a big squad, numerically that is. I think it's taken Glenn quite a while to work out which players he wants to keep and which perhaps are disposable. Linton, change over with Telfer. Hughes, cross goes Johnson. Luton have a throw. They're pretty quick, Chelsea at the back. And so far, Luton, for all their possession, are finding it very hard to work a real opening. Newton is a very cool character. And what about that for a pass to pick out Spencer, who's buying Chelsea a bit of time here. Players breaking right and left of him. He picks out Barnard. Sinclair says, put me through here. But Summers quickly off his line.
Well, I wonder if Barnard had been on the field a little bit longer, he would have picked up that great run from Newton. Took both players out the play. If you watch it again, there it goes. Now watch both Luton players go with him. I just wonder if Barnard just dummied and gone inside himself. Could he have gone on?
It's not easy for Karin, but as I say, he's been brought up through the ranks of youth international, and virtually every game since he's been an 18-year-old has been an important one. Chelsea have found an excellent foreign acquisition in their current goalkeeper. Harper. Off the back of Newton's head. Kielberg, the sort of clearance that's appropriate with the countdown to half-time. He gets a more controlled header to Peacock. Sinclair. Barnard. Wise, able to turn and throw it away for Peacock to cross, for Cascarino to come in behind Spencer. Wise on the volley.
There has been a difference as well in the attacks, Mark. It's the word pace. There's been more of a zip about Chelsea when they've been going forward. I think Luton have been a bit, well, one-paced when they've been going forward. Haven't been able to change the pace of their attack very often. And whereas Chelsea have defended from deep, sorry Martin. And then when they've gone forward, they've put a bit of pace into their play.
Into their passing as well, they've used the ball quickly. Luton a little laborious in the comparison. Linton. Telfer. Now Dixon. Priest. 5 players forward for Luton here. Telfer with a chance for the cross. It's easily cut out by Jonsson. Telfer tries again. Trying to battle past Sinclair. Peak was great work by Spencer, who saw what was happening and held Luton up for a moment. James. Chelsea fans want the half-time whistle. Luton Town, who've never won the FA Cup, are behind, approaching half-time in the semi-final, only the 4th in Luton's history. Chelsea haven't been consistent in this competition down the years. What competition have they been consistent in? They're such a colourful club. Always newsworthy. And there's a man who epitomised it, really, the chairman, who's done a marvellous job in securing the future of the club financially. So wanting to keep them at their Stamford Bridge base and a cup run and all the wealth that goes with it, vital for the coffers. We're in the 3rd minute of time added on by Roger Dilks at the end of the first half. Dixon. Priest couldn't do much with it. Now winning the race between the 2 number 12s. And he, well aware, I think, of what's on the clock. It's half-time at Wembley. 1 goal that came after 13 minutes from Gavin Peacock, after headers from Tony Cascarino and from little John Spencer as well. And Peacock, who's so good at coming onto the ball, took the chance splendidly. Luton have had plenty of possession. Luton Town declined the offer from David Pleat to come and have a look around Wembley yesterday. They preferred to stay at the team hotel and rest. Well, they've learnt plenty about it in the first half here. It's a big pitch to cover. You've got to be precise. The crossing certainly hasn't been that. Dixon, it's a miscalculation by Kielberg. Will it break here for Priest? Not quite. Barnard, who came on just before half-time, clears for Chelsea.
I think if that had been at the other end, Martin, and that's a major difference, we would have had a Chelsea shirt arriving at the edge of the box to smash that towards goal.
Linton with the throw. Peak. Now Dreyer. Chelsea, for the most part, composed and comfortable in their defending in the first half. Priest trying from long range. He missed both Luton semi-finals in the 80s. In 85, when they lost to Everton, Priest was already cup-tied that season with his previous club, Walsall. In 88, when Wimbledon knocked them out, he was injured. That was a day that Dennis Wise will never forget, because he won the day for Wimbledon. And so far, the side that he captains here are in the driving seat in the 1994 semi-final. Spencer, here is Wise. Cleared by Linton. Peacock, whose goal was so typical of his skills and the way Glenn Hoddle has used them this season. Cut out by Clark. Oakes. Telfer's come centre. Dixon is behind him. No problems for Sinclair to bring it away. 2 up for Chelsea. It's through midfield, and Barnard. Priest got to him.
You know, when you talk about those things, bits in the game, the balls drop into the midfield area. I think what Chelsea have done as well today is they've won more of them than Luton.
Flicked on by Cascarino. Peacock for Spencer. For Peacock. Is it 2? Brilliantly taken. Gavin Peacock has done it again.
That's what we mean, Martin. Seconds after I mention the word bits, what does Gavin Peacock go and do? Cascarino flicks it on. This is what you have to battle for. This is the bits. That's what I'm talking about. It's Peacock that made it his. Great awareness from Spencer. Great composure from Peacock when it mattered. And Chelsea are well on the way to a return trip to the Twin Towers.
A great time for Chelsea to score. Luton still digesting David Pleat's half-time team talk, and now they're 2 adrift. Peacock bursting with pride, as he was quite entitled to feel then with his 2nd goal of the semi-final. But Tony Cascarino, who's been involved in both of them, just loped back to the halfway line. The player who's been told that he's not wanted by Chelsea next season, and yet he's been involved in both goals here. Linton. Here's Dreyer.
One person who won't be happy, I think, with the 2 goals will be an old teammate of mine, Alan Harper. His job would have been to look after Peacock, was unable to do so. But look at this. This is a tense situation. He knows he could put this game beyond Luton. He knows he needs composure. And I tell you what, that's a wonderful finish from Gavin Peacock. Winning that could have got his head kicked off. But he knew there was a big prize and a big reward at the end of it.
Well, an 11-year gap in Gavin Peacock's Wembley experience. He was itemised as one of the country's top youngsters as a 15-year-old, played twice here for England at the under-15 level. And then an odd career, really, around from Queen's Park Rangers to Gillingham, where he was guided by his father, Keith. Bournemouth, really, at Newcastle, showing signs of being able to play at the highest level. And he's certainly shown that with Chelsea this season. Let's get a word from Nick Collins. Nick.
Thanks, Martin. I had a quick word with Glenn Hoddle as he came up the tunnel at half-time. He said obviously he was very happy with the way things went, but he did say that he thought Chelsea looked dangerous every time they attacked. So prophetic words from the Chelsea manager.
Well, that certainly was, I think, a widely shared view of the first half, although Luton had more of the ball. The Premiership side had the potential in front of goal, and now through Gavin Peacock it's really fulfilment as well. Spencer. Well, they don't want to get too confident. There was a cheeky air to the flick. Dixon. Here's Telfer. Luton have got to dig very deep here. Linton. Priest. James first to this. But it never looked like reaching Hughes the pass. Harper's got to come across. A real charge forward, typical Steve Clarke stuff this. But not so with the cross.
That's unlucky, isn't it? You make a 60, 70-yard run, you relieve the pressure on your defenders. And just when you need a little bit of composure, whether it's sat up for Steve Clarke, I'm not sure. And I know someone who's got food for thought. That must be the Luton manager. How long does it go now, Martin? Before he must be thinking of introducing John Hartson to the proceedings. You can see there he wants them up. The hardest job in the world now. Hardest job in the world. He's helpless.
Well, he's got another forward on the bench in young John Hartson, the teenager. Johnson. Smuggled away by Wise. Peak. Harper. Dixon. Now Hughes. Priest putting a ball for Hughes to chase, but Chelsea continue to look compact in their defending.
This is well organised defending. Whoever's doing that at Chelsea, Martin's doing a good job at the moment.
The Scandinavian centre to the defences looks strong. Hughes now going on to win the corner. Chelsea have just left John Spencer out to give them a way out. And it's made Luton lead 2 back. Oakes takes the corner. When it came low over Dixon to Karin.
Well, it looked to me as if Erland Johnsen knew exactly what he was doing and ducked under it. Now whether he got a call, some sort of call from his goalkeeper, I don't know. But it looks as if he just pulls his head away from it. He knows that the goalkeeper's giving him some sort of call. What's goalkeepers in Russian?
Sinclair. Here's Peacock again, popping up where he'll hurt. Luton perhaps, back for Barnard. And there are more than the 22 players on the pitch at the moment. That's changed happily, and the game goes on uninterrupted. Oakes. Well, Telfer was just wrong-footed by the pass. He gets his cross in. Priest challenging for it. Not perhaps the right man in that area for Luton. Peacock knew exactly what he wanted to do. Pick out Spencer. Chelsea on the move again. Plenty of space for Wise. Barnard. Luton have ruined some reputations this season, at least as far as the FA Cup is concerned. Chelsea having a say for the Premiership here, but most of all for themselves.
Lovely play again from John Spencer. Barnard just straight offside. I think Chelsea will enjoy this now, Martin. They know that Luton have to throw men forward, and I think they'll just defend deep. And that's another thing that we should give them credit for. We wondered whether they'd go man for man and Scott Oakes. I think Glenn obviously has decided not to sacrifice changing the style, but defend a little bit deeper probably. They have defended in depth. They haven't given Scott Oakes the areas he would like to run into. And that's probably been why he's been so quiet. And they'll do the same and they'll look to break quickly.
Over Cascarino this time, but he chases and Wise is there before him. To cross, it's only little John Spencer in the penalty area for Chelsea. It needed to be a ball of rare precision even by Wise's standards then. Brought away by Hughes. Luton may feel now that they've got little to lose, and that might provide a greater degree of inspiration than we've seen from them so far. On from Oakes to James, stretching to cross. In comes Dixon. It's too long anyway. Well, the FA only put out on allocation around 60,000 tickets, so they've all gone. And they will argue against the traditionalists that there isn't a stadium anywhere else appropriate that could take such a number. So for the fans, well, certainly the huge number of Chelsea supporters, they're enjoying this semi-final stage at Wembley. Though I have to say that there are many who believe that it shouldn't be the case year in, year out.
Shouldn't be the case, full stop.
Cascarino with another little nudge on the ball that inconveniences Luton. Wise, Cascarino slipped, but he stayed onside. Wise had to hold the ball up, worried about Peacock's positioning in the centre. And then it's a free kick to Luton. Harper. Telfer's header. Tackled by Johnson on Oakes. Scooped away by Newton. And Luton get the throw off Peacock. Prominent Gavin Peacock has been throughout this cup run with his goal getting, and he's moving on through the middle again as the ball goes right to Wise. Spencer onside. Cascarino is there and they get in each other's way and do the defending really for Luton. It was a bit of a catastrophe that for Chelsea between the two strikers.
I thought Spencer was in here. I thought he was the one. I thought Cascarino would just run past the ball here, Martin. And then all it needed was then Spencer to run into that huge open space and have a shot at goal. But what Tony Cascarino does, he puts the brakes on. I think he fancied it himself. And then they just collide with each other. He's been bright second half, John Spencer.
Darren Barnard getting a spot of treatment off the pitch at the moment, and he's come back on again with the blessing of the referee. Luton's task now, if they can, to get 2 goals in half an hour. Would have extra time, of course, if that happened. Oakes, across goes Kilberg.
That's a deep defending again. Kilberg gave himself plenty of space.
Crossed by Telfer. Should be Carins. It is Carins. Right from the moment when he saved early on from Kerry Dixon, he has set a confident mood in Chelsea's goal.
You would expect the goalkeeper to come for these, wouldn't you? And he takes it very protected very well by Johnson.
Newton. Well, Glenn Hoddle's had some great times on this ground. Of course, he was here with Swindon in the playoffs at the end of last season. Scored in a very significant day in Swindon's history, and of course left the club to take on this new life with Chelsea and to bring new life into Chelsea. Wise. Chelsea have some prominent supporters, of course. Oh, just masked there is Sebastian Coe. The centre of your picture. There's a governmental feel about Chelsea's followers as well. They come from the highest areas of Downing Street. Wise. Dreyer. Telfer. Dixon's gone to the right. Pass gives him a chance to keep the ball in play. She's just done. Linton. Oakes and Priest in the middle. Dixon's got there now himself. Harper waiting on the edge of the area. Telfer jinking and trying to find a position for the cross. Barnard stops him. Linton. And finally, Sinclair did well, and Newton spreads the play. Spencer working the full width of the pitch to make an angle to be available. And there's a relaxed feel about Chelsea's football now, with the cushion of the second goal.
So much so, Martin, I do feel David Pleat has got to change it very, very quickly. They look so comfortable defending. Sometimes it's worth changing the personnel, just to give them something different to talk about. But he has to do something. Chelsea are very, very comfortable at the moment and don't look in any real danger.
James. Well, Luton has still got the ball. James is bowled over by Cascarino. Dixon. Here's Telfer. Oakes goes through the centre. Telfer uses him as a decoy. Priest is there as well. Still Telfer. Well, it's an admirable try in the circumstances. Someone's got to show some real ambition here and show that they're not going to go down easily.
Push right in, I think he's saying. Whether he's saying that to Des Linton, I feel sure it must be the fullbacks he's saying to push right in. Linton, we've seen in previous FA Cup ties, Martin, has shown great stamina to go forward. We haven't seen that this afternoon. Whether the occasion's been too big for him, we'll never know.
Here he is. Read well by Erland Johnsen, who is also one of a good number of Chelsea players who've been in and out of the side down the years. That's partially, of course, been because of a lack of general success. But they are a club that builds up the hopes of their supporters and then regularly dashes them. Surely they're not going to lose the initiative here in this semi-final when they played so well. But Luton really have got to have a go now. Otherwise, they're only going to be remembered, and not by many and not by long, not for long, as losing semi-finalists. Hughes. Cascarino. Peak decided he couldn't go for that. It's brought down well by Peacock initially. Telfer came back, and although there were cries for handball, it wasn't given. You sense it's not been an easy occasion for Kerry Dixon. So much talk around him in the build-up. Telfer, who is showing at least encouraging signs of having plenty of energy left on this sapping surface. Peak. John Hartson is getting ready to come on. Free kick given by a referee who was only a yard away from the foul on Priest. I want to get Hartson on surely before this free kick is taken. And it's number 19 that's being held up, that's Des Linton. So John Hartson has a Wembley appearance at the end of the week in which he's past his 19th birthday. That was on Tuesday. He scored notably in the fourth round replay win against Newcastle United. Freese. Telfer. It's over Dixon, stretching to clear. Peacock.
That makes sense, Mark, the substitution. But now gives Kenny Dixon a genuine aerial partner, if you like, with Chelsea defending deep. Then he needs someone up there to help him. And it might just create a bit of space for Scott Oakes.
Sinclair, slipping Telfer. Looking at Spencer. Advantage played by the referee. It was clearly a foul by James, but Wise got the ball. Cascarino, of course, had so few matches recently. One full game on Monday at Newcastle. An international recently for the Republic of Ireland against Russia. A reserve game as well. A substitute appearance here and there. And today,
playing a big part.
He's done well, hasn't he?
Yes, he's been good at what he's good at, in my opinion. You know he's got ability aerially. He's used that. So much so that he has been involved in that department in both Chelsea goals. He's never going to run away from players, Mark. You have to accept that.
Monday Night Football is on Sky Sports, and it's Blackburn Rovers looking for points to challenge Manchester United. Free kick given against Hartson. Welsh Youth International. They have a supply line in young talent from South Wales to Luton Town. But no supply line to scoring here against Chelsea. Carrying with a clean sheet. Gavin Peacock, who's done so much damage in this cup run, to Barnett, to Sheffield Wednesday. Missed out on the goals against Oxford when, of course, he gave away that penalty that didn't cost Chelsea too dear in the closing stages of that fifth-round win at the Manor Ground. And then, of course, he cropped up with a winning goal in the quarter-final, 2 here in the semi-final. Wise with the cross. Cascarino coming in and Summer coming out. Throw got through the legs of Newton, but it was Johnson who helped Chelsea there. Peacock. Spencer, you do feel that Chelsea might not be finished yet. Oh, well, Spencer was, in any case, offside. Flashed it. I'm sure he was looking for goal and it nearly connected with Cascarino.
Lovely play. Gets a great call from Wise. Is he offside? I tell you, I'm not so sure. The flag goes up. It's not a good decision at all. But he didn't look for Cascarino, I'm sure of that. He was looking for the shot. And I think all he had to do was just roll it across the edge of the 6-yard box.
Well, you've played with John Spencer in your time at Rangers. You would be well placed to know that he certainly has an eye for goal when he's that close himself.
He was shooting.
benefit of any doubt and telling Cascarino that he was going to tee it up for him. Hartson. Luton trying to find some life here late in the day, and Kerry Hughes is off target.
Yeah, like so many of their attacks, it just breaks down at the edge of the 18-yard box. No real incision. It looks like a hit and hope to me. It's neither a cross nor a shot that's going to cause the goalkeeper any problem. Got to dig in though. Stranger things have happened in FA Cup ties. Going to be 2-0 down with 20 minutes to go and get back in it.
Sinclair epitomising the confidence there that Chelsea have, and the class as well. Wise. Peacock able to find space again. Spencer goes towards the near post, and it was just nudged away from him. Hughes. Telfer pulling to the right. Hughes gets help from James, but he's given it straight to Steve Clark. And again, Gavin Peacock able to have a look round to see what he can do with the ball. Not closed down at all. Spencer. Well, that's another tribute to the drainage here. Had so much rain in the week that you would have expected an overhit pass like that to hold up on a lush surface. Priest can't pick out Dixon. Newton, but Dixon anticipated that well. A testimonial to come, he hopes, at the end of the season involving Chelsea. In a way, it could suit him if Chelsea win the FA Cup, but not at this particular moment in time.
Well, if Luton are not going to win it, then certainly that's what Kenny Dixon will be hoping for.
Well, Luton have a free kick. Could this be a lifeline for them? Oakes and Priest over the ball. Going all but Spencer back for Chelsea. Oakes going for goal. Was blocked by Peacock. The ricochet ran all the way to Spencer. And he's looking to run perhaps all the way through himself against Harper. Corner.
Experience against youth there. And Harper won out in the end. Very positive run. Glenn Hoddle will be delighted with that. Under pressure at the other end. A run, a positive run like that works wonders.
Spencer still with the energy to go for the short corner with Wise. Kilberg has come up. Cascarino, of course, is there. Here's Kilberg. Andy, I pointed out at the start, not always in major matches, but Chelsea man for man with much more Wembley experience. Do you think that's been a factor the way it's shaped up?
They've certainly been the more confident side, and the four Luton players you mentioned in the build-up, Martin, certainly haven't produced performances we know they can.
Lost by Priest, who has played here before and won here before. Priest again. Small man with a big heart. And it's a brave approach that Luton need now. Those in the centre turn away as the attempted cross by Hughes goes harmlessly behind.
I mean, it was something that David Pleat talked to me about throughout this cup run, about how his players would react to certain situations. They didn't let him down against Newcastle. They didn't let him down in Cardiff in a difficult tie. They didn't let him down against West Ham. And the biggest stage of all in domestic football at Wembley. It's the one place where probably the people he was worried about haven't done themselves justice, as he would put it to me.
Spencer. But how much of that is down to the way Chelsea have approached the game?
Oh, a lot of it. They've defended well. I think the success has been based on good, solid defending, giving nothing away, being compact, being disciplined. And there's one player who probably won't get a lot of credit today. I think Eddie Newton, who has had a real disciplined day, and I think he's been very important for them.
Yes, the holding role of Newton allows the free running role of Peacock. Cascarino and Spencer have had plenty of touches. They work an opening here. And again, Peacock is there. Pushed out by Summer. And first on hand was Dreyer. Electrifying work from Chelsea in attack. The interplay between Spencer and Cascarino didn't quite come off. It broke to Peacock. And he hammered a shot towards a hat-trick he hoped. Splendid save from Summer, and Dreyer, a pat on the back for him as well. But for him, there would have been a tap-in. Priest. It's Harper's ball. Dixon's pursuit in vain. Andy, I know you certainly do not approve about Wembley semi-finals, but one advantage is so often we've seen in semi-finals down the years in games that you've played in, dusty, dry pitches around the league grounds, surfaces that have been worn out, not perhaps the best for footballing occasions. There's been nothing wrong with playing conditions here for a football match.
That's true, but we pride ourselves in this country of coping with any condition, Martin. And the pitches nowadays are much, much better than they were even 4 or 5 years ago at club level. And certainly you look at Old Trafford and Highbury and Hillsborough and places like that, they're all in quite good nick even at this time of the year.
James. It's still not really happening for Luton Town. Clark. Peacock. Newton again. He'll play it to a forward and then just hold his own position, although he hasn't actually played it to Peacock. Had too long that time. Man who keeps it normally so simple and so unselfish.
That was one of them, thanks, pal. Chase that, Gavin, there's work to be done. He was so close to a Wembley hat-trick, wasn't he?
Artson. Well, Chelsea have had a good number of songs to their name down the years. Priest. They haven't had too many Wembley appearances at which to air them, so they're making full use. The fans here, I would say, in excess of 35,000 Chelsea followers in a crowd of just under 60,000. They've had a great day out. As long as there's no alarms in the last 11 minutes or so. Cascarino with another header in towards Spencer. Wise. Peacock. Well, Glenn has been with the Goliaths today and Fleet with the Davids. The Goliaths carrying the heavy armoury and rewriting the fable. Touched on by Dixon. Luton continue to chase and hope. but there's been no real indication that they're going to find the pedigree that they've shown to get this far. A great night, as John Hartson will remember, for all his career and beyond, when they beat Kevin Keegan's Newcastle at Kenilworth Road. Scenes that were emulated against West Ham 2 rounds later. Skill that took Scott Oakes to national prominence. But it hasn't been a classic for the Oaks today. The end of the rainbow for Luton Town.
Well, unless something drastic happens in the last 10 minutes. There's been nothing in the previous 80, Martin, to suggest that Luton can score 2 goals in the last 10.
Andrea, after the break from Barnard. Dixon heads on. Off goes Hartson. Kjellberg, defender of international pedigree with Denmark. His colleague Erlend Jonsson is still hoping to win a place in Norway's World Cup squad. He's been conspicuously out of that particular picture. But Egil Olsen, the national manager, has made several trips to England to watch him recently. Hughes. Well, there you are. You only do that, I think, when you're very, very full of self-belief that the contest is over.
It's typical of one of the few quality crosses that took the goalkeeper out the equation, and no one near it on the back post.
Well, we wondered whether Chelsea would pay Luton a compliment of adjusting their battle plan to try and take out some of the strengths of players like Scott Oakes, but Ben Hoddle, with a good run behind him recently for Chelsea, had the confidence to say, we know what we do well, let's go out and do it here at Wembley.
I think that's a philosophy I'd be right behind, Martin.
Hughes. Dixon trying to dart away. Stolen a yard on Jonsson. It's a good cross, but not enough for attacking for Luton Town. Hartson was nearer the penalty spot. Telfer was coming in from the right-hand side. Priest to take the corner. Hughes. Oh, well, that was a free header for Julian James, pretty central.
Well, they don't come any better than this. You've been out the game, you haven't looked like scoring, you're 11 yards from goal. All you have to do is direct it. The pace is all on the ball for James. And that is a pretty poor header. And that just about sums up the story of the day for Luton.
Well, the bigger club has had the bigger clout on this Saturday evening semi-final. Jonsson. Cascarino. Just too far ahead of Peacock. There was another decision that Glenn Hoddle had to make. He could have used Gavin Peacock in place of Mark Steen up front and filled others in to midfield, but he's taken the chance with Tony Cascarino to keep Peacock in his preferred position, and how well it's paid off. Hughes. Still Hughes. All the way from left to right. And he's forced a corner. A courageous run from the Welshman. Well, a goal for Luton even now could set Chelsea's nerves a-jangling. And Even Trevor Peake has come up. Telfer. Careen again. Makes it his with a minimum of fuss.
Well, they get the first part of the corner right, and that's picking out Telfer. But what Telfer gets is too much on it. You see how much air he gives it flight. Didn't want it that high. But because it is, it's tempting the goalkeeper.
Careen and Johnson getting in the tangle. Dixon is there. And when Luton needed a bit of luck, it didn't quite materialise. There was certainly enough confusion to cause a post-mortem here between the Norwegian and the Russian.
I don't know where the goalkeeper's going. I mean, Erland Johnson's in total control there. If he stays on the edge of his 6-yard box, his defender can roll it back to him, he can clear it at will. How often do we talk about when defenders and goalkeepers get too close, the problems it causes?
Peacock. Barnard. Wise. Well, the last FA Cup semi-final that Chelsea played in 24 years ago, in Peter Osgood's time, they won 5-1 against Watford, and there was a real golfing class on the day then at White Hart Lane. And all these years later, it's been quite a similar story, if not on the scoreline. Free kick to Luton. Newton. Dixon. Again, Chelsea crowded out in the centre again. They've got way forward through the willing running of Spencer. Support on the left from Barnard. Cascarino finding an extra yard through the middle. The ball doesn't come. It's another wasted cross from very deep this time.
They've kept going, Luton, haven't they? They've kept pushing forward, they've kept trying to play, Martin, but it's just been all a little bit too much for them, I think, today. I thought Chelsea would have to play very well to win if Luton played well. But I think, in all honesty, I think Chelsea have been comfortable. I don't think they've been overstretched at the back, and they've always looked to threat at front when they've gone forward. And like Peter Osgood said at half-time, if Chelsea needed another gear, I think they had it to go up.
Bit of distress for the captain. Tennis-wise, not to impress with some attempt at physiotherapy from his teammates. Well, one would suggest that those are Luton supporters trying to get on the motorway early and avoid the jams and trying to rid their minds of the disappointment of this afternoon.
Well, no matter what you say about it, it's still a wonderful arena for football, isn't it? You see it from the air like that.
And Hoddle knows all about it. With Spurs, with Swindon, many times with England. Will he be fit for consideration as a player in the final? Most Chelsea fans think the cup is already theirs. There's a lot to do before that becomes reality, if it becomes reality. The name of their opponents might be decided tomorrow if Manchester United and Oldham manage a definite result here. When it comes to the name of the Southern semi-finalists, as it turned out to be this year, as Hughes threatens, it's going to be the name of Chelsea. 90 minutes almost up. David Priest did say to me about 45 minutes before the kickoff, it's not going to be my day. He was referring to failing to back the winner of the Grand National, Mini Homer, the player known as Mini at Kenilworth Road. Amazingly, for all his connections with racing, which are considerable, just hadn't had time to place a bet. And a loser in that respect, and a loser out on the football pitch as well. All through Chelsea's cup run, there have been goals to admire from Gavin Peacock. And he's taken his tally to 6 in the competition here.
Vital goals, vital goals. You look through the competition, Martin. Happy's popped when they've really needed someone to produce a goal. How often this run has Gavin Peacock been that man?
And it started so badly for Chelsea, being held at home by Barnet in what was officially an away fixture. Barnet switched it to Stamford Bridge, 0-0 there. Chelsea were guilty of rank overconfidence. Well, they've been up for this game, but they've certainly kept their belief in the right sort of perspective. And no one will deny that they've been worthy winners. The place in the FA Cup final goes to Chelsea, thanks to 2 goals from Gavin Peacock. Early in each half, the first after 13 minutes. And really within a couple of minutes of Luton coming out for the second half, they were 2 adrift. Luton succumb in the semi-final to end their remarkable run. Chelsea, maddeningly inconsistent so often, have stayed the course this time in this competition and have earned the right to return here on May the 14th, when they will either face Oldham, who've beaten them twice this season, or Manchester United, who, of course, as everyone knows, they've twice turned over, with Gavin Peacock very much to the fore on those occasions as well. Chelsea holding the sway, compact in defence. Ken Bates at the top of the club, at the top of the Wembley steps, will be delighted with their performance and delighted with his decision to bring this man into the club as manager last summer.
Great moments, he's Martin. Semi-final. It's a horrible, horrible place to be as a loser. I've sampled losing and winning, and I tell you, the Chelsea players have every right to be delighted. They have something so precious as a footballer to look forward to, an appearance in an FA Cup final. He's been there, he knows what it's like, but a lot of the players haven't sampled what it means to walk up that tunnel, not at a semi-final, but at an FA Cup final. They both know what it's like, and now an awful lot of the Chelsea players are going to sample that wonderful, unique feeling.
Well, for David Pleat, for all his tactical perception, his players this time unable to reproduce their marvellous earlier results and earlier form. Glenn Hoddle again has the golden touch at a stadium he knows so well. Terry Dixon, who will always have a part of his heart, I think, connected with Chelsea.
There's no need for them to be down too much, Martin. This has probably been far and away beyond their wildest dreams when this cup run started, particularly when you feel they were drawn away at Newcastle, romping away with it. They haven't disappointed anybody. But I think that Gavin Peacock's downstairs with Nick Collins.
Well, Gavin, many congratulations. The players seem very relaxed. Was that because of the early goal?
I think so. I think it took us a good 10 or 15 minutes just to relax out here. It's been a long time since we've been here, so you know, there are a few nerves, but then once we got the goal, I think we settled down, and I thought we played some very good football in the second half especially.
This is some celebration going on, isn't it?
Oh, it's tremendous. You can just see what it means to these fans for us to be in the cup final, and now we've got to go all the way and win it.
The crucial goal coming so soon after half-time, was that the killer blow for Luton, do you think?
That's what we felt. We thought if we could get the second goal, that would be the killer goal. And as it happened, it worked out that way. When you're only 1 goal up, they've always got a chance. But all credit to them, they kept plugging away, and they asked a few questions of us.
How fired up were the players?
Oh, it means so much to the team. I mean, it's kept our season alive. It's the cup runs provided a real spur on for us in the league, and our league form's improved through our cup run, I think.
Who would you like in the final?
Well, it's got to be Man United, I think.
Chelsea, Manchester United.
Yeah, that would be great.
Can you do it 3 times in one season?
We feel very confident we can go all the way now.
Listen, go and join the party. Gavin, well done.
Thank you, Nick. So Chelsea are in the FA Cup final for the first time since 1970, 24 years ago. Many congratulations to them. Commiserations to Luton. Glenn Hoddle has steered his side to Wembley in his first season. One more game, isn't it? One more game. Against who? David Pleat and Luton have been so helpful. The hospitality has been first class during this cup run. Big thank you from all of us for that. He suffered the heartbreak of a losing Sami in '85 and again in 1994 as the manager of Luton. It's Glenn Hoddle and Chelsea who are coming back for the final. Right, short break. When we come back, we'll get the thoughts of Mick Harford and Peter Osgood. All the day's football results to come, and much more. Stay where you are.